Hi, y'all. This is Amanda B. You're listening to the one and only, the smart, the crazy, the very, very sweet Grampa Al, only here on Spreaker.
Someone with a heart like yours. You make me happy when you're by my side, and when you smile you light up all around. A friend like you is what everyone needs, but for me you mean so much more than this. I meant for you is what I wanna be, and give back what you have given to me. Whenever you're feeling down, I'll make you get off the ground and take you beyond the clouds. Friends turn into lovers, lovers into friends, and what happens later someone with a heart like yours. You make me happy when you're by my side, and when you smile you light up all around. A friend like you is what everyone needs, but for me you need so much more than this. I'm meant for you is what I wanna be, and give you back what you have given to me. Whenever you're feeling down, I'll make you get off the ground and take you beyond the clouds. Friends turn into lovers, lovers into friends, and what happens later, that no one can say. Friends turn into lovers, lovers into friends, and what happens later, that no one can say. Whenever you're feeling down, I'll make you get off the ground and take you beyond the clouds. Friends turn into lovers, lovers into friends, and what happens later, that no one can say. No one can say. Friends turn into lovers, lovers into friends. What happens later, and what happens later, that no one can say. No one can say. Friends turn into lovers, lovers into friends. What happens later, and what happens later, that no one can say. No one can say. Friends turn into lovers, lovers into friends. What happens later, and what happens later.
I gave up on the football team, getting knocked on my ass wasn't my thing. Coach Jones cussing my name and tooting that whistle. I had a lot more time after school, chasing girls at the swimming pool. If Daddy was home from work, he'd take me fishing. We'd hook up the boat to the old blue Jimmy, fill the cooler with beer and viennas, hit that 2-lane up around Black Cat Ridge. Follow that sun through the Texas pines to Big John's in the evening time, just across that Trinity River Bridge. And we'd listen to the songs on the radio station on Highway 59, past the Wolf Steakhouse and the Waterberg stand, sitting on the left-hand side. We'd fish till dark and pull in the lines, get home around supper time, while Waylon and Willie sang one more time. From that radio station on Highway 59. I took Lynn to see Billy Jack in my '69 Pontiac, Saturday night at the Starlight Drive-In show. Never saw how the movie went, I couldn't keep my hands to myself. She gave me a dirty look and said, "Take me home." So we listened to the songs on the radio station on Highway 59. She didn't look too happy on the ride back home, but she must have had a change of mind. She scooted over close by my side. We made Delta Theta and my brother Stan. Colorado Kool-Aid and college girls going swimming. I got so drunk I laid down in the yard. I woke up to spinning stars. All the way back home my head was out the window. But I could hear them songs from the radio station on Highway 59. With my head held over the shoulder of the road on that East X freeway drive. I was counting and cussing them exit signs, wondering every mile am I gonna die, while Fred Fender sang wasted days and wasted nights. From that radio station on Highway 59. Wish I had a time machine. I'd drive back there in my dreams, down that 2-lane road that takes me home, and listen to the songs from the radio station on Highway 59. Past the Woe Steakhouse and the Whataburger stand, sitting on the left-hand side. We'd fish till dark and pull in the lines, get home around supper time, while Waylon and Willie sang one more time. From that radio station on Highway 59. I miss some old times on Highway 59.
I gotta drive your Cadillac just around the block, I'll bring it right back. And that's what I told Melinda Jean's daddy on the night we stole the old man's caddy. We were heading out just as fast as we could, just around the corner of the trail to the woods, to a little place we like to do the hanky-panky. We were feeling in the mood to do a little bit of drinking, in the right place at the right time, having fun out in the woods. Find a little place where we can throw a blankie, have a 6-pack of beer and do a little hanky-panky. Yeah, we were planning on a wedding as soon as we could. Had to get a job real soon I would. Had to do something soon to make her happy, cause I knew that he'd be smoking when he found I stole his caddy. So I drove it down, washed it up real nice, had it in the drive before daylight, and out he come running with a big shotgun. I said, wait a minute man, we were just having fun, down in the right place at the right time. I love your daughter, yes I do. He said, you better son, or this gun it's gonna go to shooting when it's pointing at you. So the very next day I got myself to work, and right after that we were down at the church, saying our I do's. Honey, I love you, man, I think that it's gonna work. And after it was over, her daddy stepped over and said, would you look at that? And I looked over my left shoulder, and there sat a brand spanking new Cadillac. It's in the right place at the right time. Mr. Johnson, I thank you. He said, look son, give me a grandson. And on that I said, I think I can accommodate you. So we were flying round the corner of the trail to the woods, to the little place where we knew we could get ourselves together, where we always do the blankie, have a 6-pack of beer and do a little hanky-panky.
They tell me I should try to forget
energy is pulling me in. And even if I try to resist, you're permanently under my skin. But I'd still do it over again. I don't know where you are, you're so far from home. No one knows just how far I'm willing to go. Oh, oh! Like a cannonball through the city wall, gonna run till my heart stops beating. 1 foot on the ground, trying to reach you now. Call your name, can you hear me screaming? Let the people say what they're gonna say. I got a one-track mind, gonna see it through. Like a boomerang on the move, I'm always running back to you. I'm always running back to you. I'm always running back to you. Running, 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 running. Running, 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 running. I don't know where you are, you're so far from home. No one knows just how far I'm willing to go. Oh, oh! Like a cannonball through the city wall, gonna run till my heart stops beating. 1 foot off the ground, trying to reach you now. Call your name, can you hear me screaming? Let the people say what they're gonna say. I got a one-track mind, gonna see it through. Like a boomerang on the move, I'm always running back to you. I'm always running back to you.
Oh, I know what you want. Am I from heaven or am I from hell? I'm from a place in no human can dwell. Taking you to a party. Everything's good and hard. I see
Good music, Tater Patch Radio, 103.1.
Quiet! I hate you! You're not my father! But I love listening to Tater Patch Radio.
Radio. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the music.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Jack Serber with the Texas Original Southern Music Band, and on behalf of our band, I'd like to thank my good friend and host, Grampa Al Show, for having us on his show today. And we're glad to be here to share our music with you. I want to take a minute to introduce our band members. We have my brother, Jerry Lee Serber on rhythm guitar and lead vocals. Ray Pollock is our lead guitarist. Gary O'Daniels is our drummer. And then there's me. I play the bass guitar. We are a native Texas band, and we love to play country rock, southern rock, and country music as well. With that said, our music is from our hearts to yours, and we hope you enjoy the show. And now, we'll turn it over to your host, my friend and yours, Grampa Al Show. Take it away, Grandpa.
I told you about that real high flyer getting higher than ever before. Don't you recall that day when they took him away down on the border on his lug and more? And the story seems to never end. God, don't you know he's coming back again? And when you see him out on the highway, better move it on the road. Here he comes in his long black limousine. Look at the way it sparkles and shines. Those lovely ladies look kind of mean, and if they see you, better walk the line. I'm talking long black limousine. Look at the way it sparkles and shines. Those lovely ladies look kind of mean, and if they see you, better walk the line. You know the man won't go down south anymore. Somebody else is taking over that job. Somebody else can take all the chances, just as long as the money rolls in. Now many days and nights have passed. We heard the old man bought his ticket at last. I'd like to see what those eyes have seen inside that long black limousine. And when they laid him in his grave at last, watching the people as they slowly filed past, nobody even shed a single tear. They had to get away fast. Oh, they were driving that long black limousine. Look at the way it sparkles and shines. Those lovely ladies look kind of mean, and if they see you, better walk the line. I'm talking long black limousine. Look at the way it sparkles and shines. Those lovely ladies look kind of mean, and if they see you, better walk the line. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Woo-hoo. There they go. Off to do another deal. Better watch out for those Texas Rangers. They take you down, girls. Way down. So long. Bye bye. See you later now.
When when your system fails and you don't get your the voice thing coming back to you, and when it does come back to you, it sounds like crap. But that's okay. We are on the Tater Patch Radio. Yep, the TaterPatchRadio.com. We are also on Tampa Bay FM and the Celtic Hub Radio Network with your host, the Grampa Al Show. And this is a show that we do from 1 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern. Why such a short thing? Because, like I said, this is a trial run, and we are going to be here from Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. And on Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, there is going to be a special show with me going on till about midnight. So we're going to be rocking all night. Right now, we're going to do some indie artists, and we are also going to pull some David Bowie in there, some Mike Sands or Caroline Rhett, and we have our favorites, the people that have contributed to the show. Randy Moore, and oh yeah, we got Randy Moore, yeah. And Raddy Stepik. We got him. Oh yeah, don't mind that. You darn right. And then we have a special. Let's see, Chuck Eaton. Oh yeah, don't worry about that. We have them as well. They are the contributors to the show, and on WPEX on 90.9 and 90.9 FM and 12:30 AM in Virginia. We are set. We are going live and everything else. And even if these things, like the technical difficulties and everything else like that, you know what? I'm actually doing this from home in my dining room. So you can tell if you hear a dog come up and go, he either needs to go out, wants to get a tummy rub, or definitely a breath mint, because does that dog book. Okay. And we don't smoke and drink around here, but fooling around is definitely extra. So don't worry about it. We're going to make this show a wonderful halftime place every day, Monday through Friday. And you know what? It's a delight. It is. It really is, because we get to do all these wonderful things for people. You know, we have this and that. And the first thing I want to do is I am Alan Krushka on Facebook. So if you want to look me up, go ahead, friend me, and you know what? You're more than welcome to join my world. But first, I want to go down the list of the friends' birthdays. Is Carmen Wilkerson, Kimberly Bayer, David W. Wilson, Lawrence L., Nancy Passant, oh yeah, Christian Everson, oh yeah, we got her too. And don't worry, we got more people. There's Stanley Cornsey, and Jill Hoffman, Lavor, God, no, okay, don't mind me. I'm Polish. What the heck do I know, right? But happy birthday, y'all. It says, if you ever have a birthday request or anything like that, just give me a shout over here on www.taterpatchradio.com, right in the chat room, and I will be more than happy to oblige. This is the Grampa Al Show, and yep, it's all good now. So let's get down with another Texas Original Southern Music Band with Showdown at the Lone Star Saloon and Hold On to Your Dreams, right here on the Tater Patch Radio. Haha. So get to it, brew it, or you're never gonna do it. Ah ha ha.
The lines were drawn in anger. Sun was hot just about high noon, and everybody tried to find some shade to watch the showdown at the Lone Star Saloon. It was only a cowboy hangout. Every night they met to howl at the moon. And you know that it was sad to see the end showdown at the Lone Star Saloon. Then the shots rang out in the distance, and all the walls came tumbling down. It was almost like an explosion as they were crumbling to the ground. Now you know it didn't stand a chance, 'cause it was such a sad sight to see. The old place gave way to the new. Sooner or later, just had to be. Showdown, what a showdown. Showdown, what a showdown. Showdown, as the sun rose high in the sky. Showdown, what a showdown. My, oh my, oh my, oh my. Yeah! see the light. The love that you lost yesterday was only a one-way flight. Someone's heart is waiting somewhere up ahead on that road where love will find you once again instead of that heartache you hold on to deep inside. So hold on to your heart. Hold on to your dreams. When your whole world feels like it's coming all apart, hold on to your dreams. Hold on to your heart. Hold on to your dreams. When your whole world feels like it's coming all apart, hold on to your dreams. Hold on to your dreams.
Don Corleone, otherwise known as the Godfather. Whenever I'm riding in my limousine in Southside Virginia, I always tune in to Tater Patch Radio. It's just good music. Arrivederci.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the Grampa Al Show. We have Susan Sparrow in the Tampa Bay FM chat room. We have Pay. And Lisa Lynn is off to the shows and heading to Tampa Bay FM and Celtic Hub. I love this chat room. Oh, yes, we love the chat room, too. Yes, it's just one of those days that one of these crazy things that happen with the technical issues. Well, we can't help technical, but we can sure try. That's what we do best, right? All right, now this is what you're going to listen to in the next three set. The Michaela King, Michaela McAngel, as she calls herself, with Pretty Little Liar, the David Bowie Space Oddity, and, oh yeah, Caroline Rhett, I'm the Melody. Now these are indie artists except for David, the great late David Bowie. We're going to have a special show with all David Bowie songs in it. I do believe in the near future I'm going to be getting an okay to make sure that that's not going against policy. But of course, we have a great lineup of music. We have this and that. But tomorrow is going to be an all rock and roll. Oh yes. And we're also going to have a little some more songs from our sponsors. And you know what? It's an awesome thing to have done, especially when you're doing the Spreaker shows, such as Tampa Bay FM and the Celtic Hub Radio Network, and the live FM WPEX shows on 90.9 FM and 12:30 AM in the Virginia area. Hey, this is wonderful. This is great. So we're going to make sure this gets on the air and get it done right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know we're going to do it because there's a lot of people out there that say, hey, they'll listen to me, just like Debbie Daly.
Hi, this is Debbie Daly from Spreaker.com. And when Al's not giving us a hard time about his wife, I'm listening to him on the radio.
Yeah, well, she farts up a storm at night and probably blows the dogs out the door. But I'll probably be off the floor, and if I light a match, she'll probably get launched about 3 or 4 counties away, but that's all right. It's just great. You know what? It's a wonderful thing that we get to do here. And sometimes we get a little cranky, or shall we get a little nasty with our fortes, just like Homer and Baked Beans.
Aw, crap.
July is National Baked Bean Month. Excuse me. Yes, a month in which we pay tribute to one of America's favorite, most healthful, and nutritious foods. I'm terribly sorry. As I was saying, good Lord, this is terribly embarrassing. I'm so...
Whoa, doggy!
I guess I'd better wrap this up quick. Basically...
Jesus! Whoa! Oh, God! Oh, my God!
Baked beans. They're nature's way of saying, for God's sake, open a window. Sorry.
Oh, please. I would get a can of Lysol. You'll be great at it. All right. So, here we are. We're going to get Michaela King's, or Michaela McAngel, right on with the Pretty Little Liars, the David Bowie Space Oddity, and Caroline Rhett, I'm the Melody, right here on the Tater Patch Radio.
This is Michaela, and you're listening to the Grampa Al Show. You pretty little liar. Ooh. The smell of perfume led me to the bedroom. Lipstick stain, caught you in your game. Thought you were pretty, thought you were sweet. Thought you nothing more than a dirty cheat. I didn't think once, I didn't think twice. Hold up my fist and hit you with my rights. Ooh, don't lie to me, don't lie to me. I've got a lot to live, so let me be. Got to break free. I don't need you to feel good about me. I feel the power surge
Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. Commencing countdown, engines on. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirt you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue and there's nothing I can do.
to be your everything. I didn't mean to be the whole world's queen. I didn't mean to feel the weight of the world on my shoulders, and this whirlwind's making me colder. Do you think that I I can make sunshine and all the reasons that you're feeling fine. Well, if you wanna give me that much power, I'm gonna have to get a little bit louder. 'Cause I'm the groove and I'm the melody. I'm the melody, sing it back to me. I'm the groove and I'm the melody. I'm the melody, sing it back to me. 'Cause I'm gonna get stuck in your head, baby. I'm the groove and I'm the melody. I'm the melody, sing it back to me. I really hate it when I wait all day to finally have a moment just for me. 'Cause I'm the only one blocking my view of blue sky, and I should be sitting on cloud nine. So radio, can you take me there to a moment when I just don't care? I'm giving you all of my power, and I'm turning you up a little louder. I'm the groove and I'm the melody. I'm the melody, sing it back to me. I'm the groove and I'm the melody. I'm the melody, sing it back to me. 'Cause I'm gonna get stuck in your head, baby. I'm the groove and I'm the melody. I'm the melody, sing it back to me. This is just so undeniable. Can't you feel it? Feel the wonderful right there under your skin. Don't you wanna hear him singing again? Don't you wanna hear him singing again, 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 again? Oh, 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 I'm the groove and I'm the melody. I'm the melody, sing it back to me. I'm the groove and I'm the melody. I'm the melody, sing it back to me. 'Cause I'm gonna get stuck in your head, baby. I'm the groove and I'm the melody. I'm the melody, sing it back to me. Sing it back to me. Sing it back to me. Yeah, I'm the melody.
Hello, this is Red from Shawshank. As a young man, I played a pretty mean harmonica. And ever since I've gotten away from that prison, I've listened to Tater Patch Radio.
Now we got some Lake Sand with Boundaries.
Where do you think you're going? Don't you know that's my space? If you consider approaching, you better pick a slow Everybody's got dreams in their heart. Everyone's got secrets to hide. Everybody's got boundaries. Don't you go crossing
Hello, this is Red from Shawshank. As a young man, I played a pretty mean harmonica. And ever since I've gotten away from that prison, I've listened to Tater Patch Radio.
It was me, my dad, and my grandpa, and we were all watching TV. It was presidential candidates, and they were having their debates. It was something to sit and watch and see. It seemed to go on for hours, and the promises changed from yesterday. You couldn't tell fact from fiction. They told her lies and repetition, and this is all my grandpa had to say. If their lips and you know the line, what they're selling I ain't buying. Why can't they make up their minds? They say they do and then they don't. They say they will and then they won't. And honest politicians hard to find. Now we all agreed with Grandpa, and the wisdom he shared was true. But we all agreed I'd say it differently, and this is how I'd say it to you. You can fix strong, but you can't fix stupid. You can find love, but you can't bribe Cupid. There's some things in life you need to know. Like if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Like oil and water, don't try to mix it. If you learn these simple things, you might grow old. Wisdom. We even put them in a song, so that you can vocalize and maybe harmonize. You might just wanna sing along. If the lips are moving, you know the line. What they're selling, I ain't buying. Why can't they make up their minds? They say they do and then they don't. They say they will and then they won't. And honest politicians hard to find. You can fix strong, but you can't fix stupid. You can find love, but you can't bribe Cupid. There's some things in life you need to know. Like if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Like oil and water, don't try to mix it. If you learn these simple things, you might grow old. If you learn these simple things, you might grow old. Class dismissed.
Welcome, everybody, to the Southern Cowboy One Voice Weekend with your hosts, Southern Cowboy Ed and Grandpa Al. Today we have a special guest. His talents include cartoon illustrations, vocals, and musical venues, and the creator of a new concept in children's cartoon, The Grimps, Richard Sergiovanni. Let's listen to how the story unfolds right here on Spreaker.com.
My name is Richard Sergiovanni, and I'm the creator of The Grimps.
We're the Grimps, we're the band, playing where we can. We're the Grimps, we're the band, playing one-night stands.
The Grimps story started 500 years ago when they were minstrels living in a faraway land. There's Winston, Mac, Mooney, Magic Alex, and Emerson. Everyone loved their music. except for one, Spectre, the wicked wizard that was very, very jealous of their popularity and cast a spell on them, turned them into hairy Grimps, and cursed them for eternity into the forest of Dingle, where they never would be seen of again. Until one day, Magic Alex was able to come up with a spell that transformed them temporarily back to humans from sunset to sunrise and resurfaced as the great musicians they were, the new pop sensation, the Grimps. My inspiration for the Grimps came when I was looking for a new creative project to put together, so I decided to combine my two passions, which was rock and roll and cartooning. My music background goes back to the day I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, and I was inspired and started playing drums. I played in bands in New York City for years and just had a great passion for music. After graduating college, I freelanced as a cartoonist. The cartoons I enjoyed as a youth: Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, Stan Lee in Marvel Comics, especially Spider-Man, and Bill Keane from the Family Circus. When I was 8 years old, I was visiting an aunt out in Arizona, and I heard that Bill Keane had lived out there. So I looked him up. I took a bus on my own, found out where he lived, knocked on his door unannounced, and said, "I want to be a cartoonist." He was very gracious. He brought me into his studio. He showed me around. I thought it was so cool that some guy can make his living sitting in his room drawing cartoons, and at that point I was inspired. Each episode is going to have stories promoting positive messages, introducing original music, and from time to time going back and touching on the history of the Grimps. The first Grimp we have is Winston. He's the creative genius. He's very blunt and honest. Then we have Mac, the melodic, real musician of the Grimps. Usually pushes everyone around to make sure that the music is absolutely perfect. And Mooney is the wild and mischievous drummer of the Grimps. He's wacky. Then we have Emerson, quiet, very spiritual. And then we have Magic Alex, who is not one of the musicians, but he is their manager and their wizard. Some of the other secondary characters that are in the show: Domo, kind of like a cross between Rocky Balboa and Herman Munster's, the only person that really knows the Grimps' secret. Then we have Billy and Shears, friends of the Grimps from 500 years ago. They unfortunately were both caught in the moment the spell was cast and were drunk to miniature size and banished to a forest of Dingle with the Grimps. And we have Greenie. Greenie is the paparazzi. His quest is to follow them, get a picture of them changing so he can sell it to one of the supermarket magazines. And then we have the fan club, Sin, Maureen, and Patty. These three girls love the Grimps. Follow them around, keep the fan base going. Spectre is the evil wizard that cursed the Grimps and banished them for 500 years. He reoccurs in the storyline once the Grimps come back to society.
Having fortunately been involved in a lot of young startups,
the Grimps struck me as being something very special.
That is also going to be a point of education as well.
Subtly teaching the history of rock and roll.
The fact of being able to sit down with your family and watch something and hear some music that is not tearing anybody apart or hurting anybody along the way. It's telling a story.
As a father, I think it's really important to present good content to children today. I believe that the Grimps will be the next big thing in kids' animation. Popular programming that you might compare the Grimps to might be as simple as The Lord of the Rings meets the Beatles. My wish list for voiceover talent for the Grimps: Ringo Starr, Jack Black, Steven Tyler, Adam Sandler, Debbie Harry, Ozzy Osbourne. We have very, very commercial characters, great storylines, positive messages, original music, and with many, many licensing opportunities and platforms. Movies, video games, apparel, toys, ebooks, websites, and MMOs. In 5 years, I see the Grimps being a huge entertainment property. I know that the Grimps is going to be the type of show that children, parents, and grandparents will enjoy together and be able to sit down and find it entertaining. A successful half-hour children's animated TV show, similar to what was done in the 1960s with the Monkees. We are going to present original music through this cartoon band, teaching positive messages to children and produce hit records.
One night
that is what the story is all about. Now, meet the creator, the publisher, and everything that you can think of when it comes to this wonderful concept in the cartoon things. Yeah, and he's probably laughing his ass off right now. But his name, Richard Sergiovanni. And did I say that right?
You said it perfect. Thank you, Will.
Okay.
Perfect.
What came over you? It looks like you made the Beatles into little hairy Grimps.
The Beatles influenced me, but this is no doubt about it. I'm a tremendous Beatle fan, and I guess maybe the origin of the Grimps, you might say, can go back to 1964, because in 1964, as a wee little kid, I got turned on to the Beatles like the rest of the world did from Ed Sullivan, and around that same exact time is when I had an interest, as many kids, in drawing in cartoons, and my path went along that track, parallel, turning into being a musician, being a professional cartoonist, and until a few years ago when I decided to develop a new project, and what I wanted to do was combine my two passions, which is rock and roll and cartoons, and make something for kids, but something that the grandparents and the parents would like as well. And I wanted it to be a very, very subtle tribute to rock and roll. So my starting point on designs and names were retro Beatles, 1960s mop tops look. It was also to reintroduce kids to rock and roll and to the legacy of the Beatles, because a lot of kids don't know that the Beatles. I mean, it is still 50 years later a brand that's still, I would say, 8 out of 10 people know, even the younger kids. But I wanted to keep that going, so I thought it was fresh enough. It was kind of sort of like Mike Myers might have done when he did Austin Powers and created a new character, but he took it in that 1960s mode, and I always just, even though I was very, very small kid, didn't live through it the way others did, I just always liked that mod retro 1960s look. So I got started in that direction when I started to design the characters and develop the names, and then it kind of started to blend together.
Cool. And when did you first start thinking about this concept?
I would say I'm into it about 4 years now, where I literally had the first thought was I wanted to create something new, because I've been a cartoonist. I've been a cartoonist my entire life, and have illustrated in books and in magazines and advertising, and worked in the advertising business for many years. And always freelanced, and I always had my little comic strips and other projects that I did in newspapers and magazines. But I wanted to develop something that would be for animation. So I would say about 4 years ago, I got that first inkling that I wanted to do something new. And then I realized I wanted to do something that combined rock and roll music and for kids, and started to develop the idea of the band. So the answer is 4 years ago, and then the development and the brain process and the thinking process started along with the drawings.
Yeah, I hear that. And
yeah,
what? Here's another little thing that I've learned through reading what you've been through and gone through in these interviews and everything else like that. Where did you start when it came to the music portion of your life?
Where did the music portion of my life start?
Yes.
Or my interest?
No, where did it start? I know your interest was way back when with the Beatles, but what instrument did you start out with?
Oh, my instrument. I'm sorry. I started out playing drums, and I was also a singer, and dabbled on the piano a little bit. But my main instrument was the drums, and I started playing, around 10 years old, and, little garage bands with neighborhood kids, and really got serious into, music and my passion for it I was probably around more like than 14 or 15, and I absorbed and listened to everything and practiced to everything. And the era I think I grew up with was probably one of the best eras in music. And luckily enough, being in New York City, I was able to see every major act that came into town, because it was obviously one of the main spots that a touring band came to at Madison Square Garden more often than not, and saw everyone from Pink Floyd to Led Zeppelin to the Stones, and throughout Chicago and Santana, and it was endless. And my taste was very eclectic, because the 70s was like that. I think the Beatles kind of were the pioneers of rock and roll, and they gave every opportunity for music to go into different little genres of rock and roll. From the Allman Brothers with country, and Santana with Latin, and Pink Floyd, with psychedelic music and all of that. So being in New York, I saw everyone that came into town, and I played in these bands. And I started to, cultivate this real love for music, and music history, and not only playing it, but being following it for the way the artist work their career as artists, not necessarily just performers. And I just went from there. Really interesting, one of the earlier days of me starting playing out there, because I'm from New York City, but near a borough in New York City called Queens, and the little town that we lived in. We had the opportunity to play with Cyndi Lauper when she was starting out. We played high school dances together, and Steve Stevens, who later on went to be the guitar player for Billy Idol. And it just was an interesting time. And then as I got into my 20s, we went into just another whole phase. So, my taste grew from there. And that was, like I said, a parallel road as my art career was also going along in a similar path.
I see. And where did you start your art career?
Well, probably on my kitchen table when I was 10 years old with scrap paper, copying Charlie Brown out of the newspapers. But I did that like all other kids, and probably before I was 10. But I think it was literally around when I was 10 that I know I just had this, I picked up the pencil and really kind of went into another world and a fantasy zone, and said I really, really enjoyed this. And not only did I learn by copying in the comic, I was a big comic book reader also of Marvel. I also, one of my bucket list things that I got off my list a few years ago was having the opportunity to meet Stan Lee. And I copied Marvel, and I copied the things in the funny papers. And I started to at a younger age, start to develop my own characters. So it was a very, very interesting time.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And from there, it's how when I look back now, I can see where, the whole direction was happening for a reason. And so I was a cartoonist, and I was a musician, and then I got more serious as a musician as I got my 20s and got into some very, very good bands in New York City, playing the New York City original music circuit, like Max's Kansas City and CBGB's and clubs like that. We were at the same time on the circuit when Madonna was out there and Bon Jovi was out there, and this was and after the wave of bands coming out of that era, like the Ramones or Blondie, and at the same time, I went in Manhattan, the School of Visual Arts, which was a accredited art school in Manhattan, and studied cartooning with a guy by the name of Harvey Kurtzman. And Harvey, for the people who might not know that name, was one of the creators of Mad Magazine. And the guy was great. He taught us how to what made a good joke and techniques in drawing, even though you either know how to draw or you don't know how to draw. And it was a really wonderful experience. So I just kept doing it, and that road just kept going in that same line until about 4 years ago, like I said, they started to come together which started to develop the Grimps.
What was that first defining moment that brought you to that point where you started developing the Grimps?
Well, I was completely bored. I didn't have anything, something creative to get me excited, and I wasn't in a band anymore, and I wasn't working on any kind of art project that was exciting. I was just doing what I'll call your everyday, mundane type of advertising, just to make a client happy, and I needed to do something. And for me, it was always, I need to have some passion with the work that I do. So that's when I got the idea that, okay, well, that'll be it. It'll be about, cartoons and rock and roll, and then I had to figure out how to do it. What I knew I didn't want to do, which has kind of led me into the fantasy part of the story of the Grimps, was I didn't want to make a cartoon just about a rock and roll band, because I thought that would be boring. That was kind of done before, and it really was, a little lame, and I didn't think it was not to the way I would have wanted to do it. And I thought that would have a short life to it. And I wanted it really to be something that possible, not only that kids would enjoy, but they can possibly sit there with their parent or their grandparent and find a common denominator in the interest. Plus, being a parent and my kids were growing up, children's television has changed a lot, and there's still a lot of good things out there. But ever since, go back to 25 years now, since The Simpsons broke, which is the most successful TV show, not just animated TV show, animation went more towards adult, and they started to push the needle. And they're really doing a lot of irreverent things for kids. I mean, things that I would laugh at, that you would laugh at.
True.
But a lot of subtle and irreverent things. And, I don't think that that's necessarily what should happen. So for that reason, too, I started to take a direction, and all these kind of things started to help me develop, this idea as I then went into the next step of designing the characters and figuring out their personalities and their names and so on and so forth.
Oh, wow. Cool. Right now, I believe everything that you say about today's cartoons, they just push the envelope too much, and it seems like, especially with The Simpsons, they get into all this adult theme things like it's going on, and little kids learn from that. What directions are the kids going into these days?
Well, that's just it. I mean, you and I, when we grew up, there was maybe, there were three or four TV channels, and now there's, 300 or 400 of them, and kids are have media hitting them from everywhere, and there's the internet now. Yeah. And The Simpsons, as great as they are, and I really respect the show, that was for adults. But and probably the best writing in animation, second to Warner Brothers, I think, the Warner Brothers cartoons. But, when you're putting something out there that easily in front of a 6-year-old, you got to be sensitive and careful to what you're putting out there. And there's a lot of things I think that shouldn't be happening out there. So, not that the Grimps are going to be far from some kind of, religious type of program, but it's going to be about having fun and be about positive messages and good things and cool, with the music and the other things that we're going to do. So that's one of my credos in this project and, my intentions.
Great. And now, what type of influence from your own experience as a entertainer in bands and whatnot is being influenced in these cartoons?
With the Grimps, the whole subtle background to the Grimps is somewhat of a, like I mentioned before, a tribute to rock and roll. We have a Beatlesque type of characters and mop tops and all of that, and all the names of our characters come from. And there's so many more than people see out there on Facebook or on the website. There's so many other characters that will come out, and you'll see that the names follow suit. But what I wanted to do with the names, and which I have done so far, is that all the names of the characters come usually from somebody in music, just as part of a subtle tribute to rock and roll. And I'll give you an example: is the four Grimps themselves: Winston, Mac, Emerson, and Mooney.
Welcome to the Grimps TV show. Join us for an exciting episode as we take you to the toppermost of the poppermost.
You're daydreaming again, mate. We don't have a show yet.
But we will soon.
He might be right. I have some exciting news. We're about to audition for the famous producer, Raymondo. He's looking for a band for his new TV show.
I once saw the great Raymondo the magician. He was so bad he made the audience disappear.
Sure, that would be fab. When's the audition?
How about right now? He gave me a cell phone number. When he answers, I'll put him on speaker, and then we'll play our song for him.
Hello, Raymondo's Chinese restaurant. You like egg roll with meal?
How about a drum roll?
Stay calm and carry on.
Hello, Raymondo. Raymondo Hat Company. What size is your brim?
Brim? We're brimming with rock and roll.
One size fits all. My roll is about to brim over. I want to play some music.
Me too.
Me too.
I think we all do.
Let's do it, lads. There's lots of other producers and programmers out there. You'll play for them all.
Winston, Mac, Emerson, and Mooney, clap your hands. Everybody sing. Winston, Mac, Emerson, and Mooney, clap your hands. Everybody shout. We're the Grimps, we're the band, playing where we can. We're the Grimps, we're the band, playing one night stands. Come along and sing our song. We're gonna rock it all night long.
We're ready for the world to see us now.
Uh-oh! Not yet.
Oh, no.
Here we go again.
What a drag.
This is definitely not groovy.
Not until we get rid of this grotty curse. I have to keep working on a new spell. We can't keep going through this every night.
I meant to do that.
Tater Patch Radio.
Just a flesh wound.
Just good music.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
TaterPatchRadio.com.
I fart in your general direction.
Well, Winston was John Lennon's middle name, and Mac is a short of what they called Paul McCartney, and Emerson, from one of my favorite keyboard players from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Keith Emerson, who I actually had the honor of meeting and who's contacted me and actually sat with me about his interest in the Grimps, which blew my mind because when I told him, when I remember seeing him, I was 19 years old sitting in Madison Square Garden to a, sold out crowd of 20 some odd thousand people. And now here I am sitting with him and he's talking about having interest in doing some arrangements or whatever on my project. Well, I thought that was pretty cool. And back to the name thing. And then there's the drummer Mooney, which was taken from Keith Moon, the drummer of The Who, and somewhat of the personality quirks, mad lunatic drummer. And many of the other characters follow suit too, like that. The evil wizard who's cursed the Grimps is Spectre. And the names just go from there. And Magic Alex is, you have to be a real Beatle historian and I won't get into it now to know who Magic Alex was, but if you're a big Beatle fan, or if you've read their books and their history, you'll know who Magic Alex is. So I borrowed names from people like that, and many of the other characters will follow suit like that. And for no particular reason, just for me, to have the fun of it. I had thought of originally the idea when I remember when my oldest son was about 6 years old, and the rage in the kids' entertainment world at the time were the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mm-hmm. I always thought it was so clever that here you had the whole world, these 7-10-year-old boys who loved the Turtles. They were a craze. I mean, I can't tell you how many turtle toys I had in my house. But they all knew the Turtles, the names for who they were, these Ninja Turtles. But the names were taken from the Renaissance painters, Donatello and Michelangelo and so on and so forth. And I thought that was so cool. And it was just a subtle thing. It didn't change the world, but I just thought, they took these names from art history, these people that lived hundreds of years ago. They put it on this animated cartoon turtle, and the whole world knew these names as Ninja Turtles. So I took that same kind of direction with the names for the Grimm Show, and there'll be many more as the show develops and people see other characters. We'll see names, and if they recognize them or not, well, I did it for the fun of it. But a lot of the adults that are following the Grimps on Facebook or the website or Twitter, they're the ones that are telling a lot of their grandchildren about it, and they're coming to me and say, you know what, I think this is cool for many ways, and one of them is, I think part of it is that the grandparents today, which are anywhere from 45 to 70 years old, they're the classic rock generation, and most of those people, like myself, are passionate about our past or the music that we listen to. It's a different generation than our parents' generation who listened to Sinatra and Tony Bennett and people like that. This generation is still passionate about the music. I mean, I tell you, and I know a lot of people who do the same thing. If I'm in my car and I hear, Deep Purple come on with Highway Star, if people are familiar with the song, which is one of my favorite songs, I think I'm 19 again, and I start driving that car a little faster. That's rock and roll, and so I want to kind of bring that in to the Grimps, and I think so far it's working where I'm getting the reaction from, like I said, the grandparents even more than the parents, and I think it's great that there's possibility that a show can be sat down and a grandparent will sit with his kid and they'll both enjoy it equally, and maybe for different things, but that they can do it together.
Cool. Yeah, I've seen the preview on what the Grimps is all about, and even my grandkids, they say, "Wow."
Well, that's great. And how old are they?
My grandkids range from the age of 7 all the way to 15. I got seven grandkids.
Wow.
In that area.
Wow.
And I introduced them to that, and I wanted to get their opinion. The three opinions that I did get from them, because let's face it, they don't like questions.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, the one opinion is the drummer's kind of kooky, corny. He's got little corny comebacks with the drum go,
Right.
But he's fun. That makes it a good learning experience. That makes something that is a fun thing. It's a fun cartoon, and they would like to see more episodes.
Well, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to getting this off the ground, and people will be able to see it, because I've been working on this such a long time, and I know people are going to enjoy it. So when I hear that, what you say and your grandchildren and comments like that means a lot, because that means I'm in the right direction, and it's going to happen very soon. And it's with the support that I've been getting, and people like yourself give me the chance to talk about it and spread the word. Well, that's very important. So thank your grandchildren for me. And yeah, Mooney is the crazy kooky drummer, and you're going to see a lot more fun and crazy things from them.
What about you? What about you personally? What is your take on the very first episode that you're putting out there? What was your first feeling when you first seen it come into play?
Well, I've been living. You got to realize I've been living with this for years, such a long time. I'm excited when I've seen the development. You know, when you sometimes you're doing it, you don't see what other people see because you're already on to 5 other things in your head. But I'm excited when I see these things, like when I did the first animatic trailer, the one that you saw. That was my first step in bringing them to life and doing the voices. And, it's exciting because it just confirms to me of how much fun and how much better it's going to be when I get into the full animation and into a production studio and start recording songs. See, the other part of this is not just the animated TV show, but creating and presenting the Grimps as a legitimate rock and roll band. I mean, being a musician, I still have that bug in me, and I went through it like everyone else when you were 23, trying to get the record contract. I don't even know if that exists anymore. But the Grimps is going to be presenting original music in every episode, and it's going to be, the songs are going to be tied into the theme of the show, if it's a positive message or some kind of message. And I'm just looking forward to that step of getting in the recording studio and seeing that process happen and work with the musicians and the producer, and also in the animation and seeing that come to play. So I'm excited. I have to sometimes kick myself and step back and say, it might seem slow, but look how far you came with it. But, this is something that's in me, and I tell anybody, no matter what it is, if you have some kind of dream and passion, just don't give up on it, because that's what makes life, not doing mundane things, doing things that you like, and whatever it is. My thing is this, but, someone else's thing could be golf, and, do it, and that's what makes you feel alive every day, and this does for me, and that's why I'm really excited when I get to the next step, because, as they say, you ain't seen nothing yet. When I get to that next point, we're going to be turning out some really cool stuff.
Awesome. And where can everybody find the Grimps, and what's the addresses?
Oh, well, right now, people can find the Grimps on Facebook. Just search the Grimps. It's under Musician Band, GRIMPS, or the website, which is thegrimps.com. There's 2 videos, the 2 that I think that you cited, that are at the bottom of the page. You can see the animatic trailer. It's the first step in bringing them to life. It's not full animation, it's an animatic. And then my electronic press kit, which is me narrating kind of the overview of what the Grimps is going to be as a TV show. And there we show some of the characters and who they are, the main characters. And we also have links there to Facebook and Twitter. So I'd love more people to come and visit us and see what it is. Interesting enough, you asked me about that, which just reminded me, our fan base, which was really encouraging without a show yet, is between the social media is over 14,000 now. And even though that might not be a lot, what's encouraging is that they're from all around the world. I mean, we have fans from Egypt and Iowa and New York City and London and Paris, and they're ranging from 7 to 70 years old. So that kind of secures the direction I wanted to go with this project, where it would be family entertainment and universal appeal, because there are, like I said, there's people in countries that don't speak English. So but cartoons and rock and roll, I think it's the fountain of youth, and they're being attracted to it. So that's really, really encouraging. So please visit us on Facebook or at thegrimps.com, and that would be great. Love to see you there.
You got me as a fan already. And
yeah, there you go.
And anytime that you have a a promo or anything, here, send it this way. I will get it out to the people. They will get it out. I'll put it on my Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everything, because I really enjoy this type of entertainment, especially when it deals without the vulgarity that other entertainment starts going through nowadays.
Yeah, I certainly will, and I appreciate that highly. You know what's also encouraging? I just found out about this a couple of days ago. There's a syndicated TV show out there on Fox TV called Teen Kids News.
Yep.
It's been on TV for 12 years. They contacted me, and they want to be doing a segment, a 3-minute segment on me and the Grimps. National TV, 200 stations around the country. They know it's not a TV show yet. Their slant and what interests them was that besides liking it as, I guess, a piece of entertainment, they like the idea about the positive messages, and they believe that television or the media is in dire need for that for the kids. So they're going to give me a couple of 3 minutes to be able to tell that story. And that's encouraging because, again, here I am, I'm, building this little thing brick by brick, and they track me down, and they think it's for a good cause. So these are all good things. They're all good things for everyone. So I'm encouraged.
Well, I'm definitely encouraged as well because you helped me see one thing, that no matter how old we get, there is also that spark of inspiration that keeps us going no matter what happens in our lives.
Absolutely. It keeps you young. I'm fortunate to say, and I don't know, some people make fun of me, but I still feel and think, as I did when I was much younger. When I sit down by myself and write or create, I turn into a 10-year-old again. But that's what keeps us going. If you're lucky enough to keep your body moving along, your mind is always going to stay as young as you want it to be. So there's no reason not to do things that make you inspired. And like I said, if it's golf or whatever it is, you have to go with it. It's not, doesn't have to be know how to play a guitar or draw a picture. It could be anything. It could be like your radio show you do or things like that. If it brings you pleasure and you're inspired by it, well, that's what life's about. So, this just happens to be my thing, and I'm glad you enjoyed that too.
I enjoy everything that comes my way, especially meeting awesome people such as yourself.
Thank you.
A very articulate, a very keen-minded and creative, which we all should be. Most kids today, they aren't that creative. They just say, F this, F that. That's not creative.
I know. And that's a shame. That's one of the things, unfortunately, a lot of the school systems, no matter what state you live in, they don't support the arts like they should. And that's a crime because, you have a lot of people that can do great things if you're involved in the arts and creative stuff, not just be, a great mathematician or win the spelling bee. And they don't encourage that enough with the kids. And that's one of the, silly little things that might come out of it with the Grimps. Maybe some kid will want to learn how to pick up a guitar and learn how to play it, and he'll turn into the next, Bruce Springsteen or whoever. I don't know, but, it's sort of a vehicle for that as well. And the music business is like crazy, too. Talk about the television business. I mean, and I don't want to sound like I'm sounding like my father, when he yelled at me when he heard me listening to Led Zeppelin, but the garbage that I'm hearing now in some of this music is unbelievable, and the lyrics and
I still remember my dad yelling at me for listening to Alice Cooper.
Yeah, there you go.
I said, I'm getting an education, Dad. Will you mind leaving me alone? He says, you don't need that kind of education, let me tell you.
So, our plan is to do some good things with that and with the Grimps in many ways. And, I'm sure we'll get that opportunity, and there's just so much good stuff to come from it.
Oh, definitely. What is the one last thing you would like to tell the the listeners out here before we end this this interview?
Just that's a good question. The Grimps are coming. The Grimps will be hitting television and the airwaves, whatever that is, on radio or the internet, real soon. Working diligently behind the scenes to put this project together once and for all. And I believe that we'll be successful in the very near future. Please come and visit us on Facebook and the website, where you can get updates and you can find out when I'm possibly doing other TV shows or radio shows to hear more on updates. But, every day in the Grimps we're posting something, new, hopefully, and some information. So come there and you'll be updated on what the next step is. And thank you, Al.
Hey, anytime, Richard, and definitely anytime that you want, come on by. We'll get this out again. We'll have all new updates, all new things to talk about, and having your take on today's education, that will help everybody, including the younger generation, understand what's being missed. Because right now, the way it is, they're missing a lot.
Yeah, I hope so. So we'll do our best. We'll have some fun as we go for the ride.
Yeah, you betcha. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks,
Mike.
Al. This was great. And one last thing. I'm very honored that you started using Grandpa Al Lewis's photo.
Yeah, well, he's got more hair than I do.
And I got to meet that man in person one time, and you look better than him. So
Sure, at least I got the chunky monkeys on my back. That's all right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Al, thanks very much. It's a pleasure, and I definitely would love to come back sometime soon.
Thank you. It's Richard Giovanni, everybody.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.
Wait a minute. I have to say this right. Richard Sir Giovanni, the creator of the Grimps. Beware, be informed, and watch the Grimps when they come out, because they will educate and enlighten you. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.
Winston Mac, Emerson and Mooney, clap your hands, everybody sing. Winston Mac, Emerson and Mooney, clap your hands, everybody shout. We're the Grimps, we're the band, playing where we can. We're the Grimps, we're the band, playing one night stands. Come along and sing our song, we're gonna rock it all night long. Here we come, we're on the move, now come on, let's go, it's time for fun. Here we come, we're in the groove, now come on, let's go, calling everyone. We're the Grimps, we're the band, coming to your town. We're the Grimps, we're the band, you can't keep a good band down. Come along and sing our song, we're gonna rock it all night long. We're the Grimps. Winston Mac, Emerson and Mooney, clap your hands, everybody sing. Winston Mac, Emerson and Mooney, clap your hands, everybody shout. We're the Grimps, we're the band, playing where we can. We're the Grimps, we're the band, playing one night stands. Come along and sing our song, we're gonna rock it all night long. We're the Grimps.
You're listening to Grampa Al Show on WPX, which is 90.9 FM and 12:30 AM on the great state of Virginia. The dials, oh yes, and this is the wonderful. I am also simulcasting on Tap Bay FM and the Celtic Hub Radio Network. And you can get me a hold of me on www.taterpatchradio.com, right into the chat room, or you can take the chat rooms in this or that. Our last show, okay. The Eagles with Hotel California will be our last show for the day. I end my show directly at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. But you know what? It is an honor and pleasure to bring you all the music and all the passions that come my way. So thank you for listening to the Grampa Al Show. Meet me here again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. UK time, right here on the Tater Patch Radio, the Grampa Al Show, Tap BFM, and the Celtic Hub Radio Network. So, see you again later, Taters, and love, peace, and from my heart to yours, be well, because if you don't, somebody else will try to do it over you, and that's not fair to you. So, here's Hotel California with me, the Eagles, and everybody else. Later, Tater.
master's chambers. They're gathered for their feast. They stab it with their stealing eyes, but they just can't